Welcome back to the Hidden Turnbuckle podcast. This is the RCWA 12 Bumps of Christmas review show from this past weekend's festivities, shall we say, down in Raynham. It was the show of shows, probably one of the best independent shows that I've been to this year, and it was all kinds of awesomeness. The matches were great. We're going to get into all of that. Anyway, let's not waste time. First things first, I will say that the kickoff to 12 Buns of Christmas bumps uh, Battle Royal. Now, if you remember my preview show, or if you've watched the review show from the last show, Thanks for the Memories, you will know that Tall Tom Mercer was number 1 in this after successfully defeating Isaiah Williams and Ian Cameron. Thanks for the memories. And Sue Ospreay, he said, well, you can be number 1 in this battle royal. And he was. Number 2 was the returning Callum Beck from the United States. Callum has I feel as if that trip to the States has really upped his game a little bit. Like he come into this with a bit more aggression than normal. I mean, he's always quite an aggressive guy with the wrestling that he does, but he was just this, I just feel that he come into this with a more so I don't know. It's a weird one because he obviously look, he's a great technique in the ring's great and everything that he done is great and everything and he does a great ground and pound. He has great standing wrestling, but he was certainly more aggressive than what I've seen of him, and more on that in a minute. He did eat a boot to the face the moment that he got in the ring, though. Unfortunately, Tom didn't take too kindly to that and nearly eliminated straight away. But we'll get into a bit more about the new aggressive Callum Beck a little later on. Kian Cameron was next in there, and they started working together against Tall Tom for this. Tall Tom, a lot of enemies for the Rebellion. I mean, they dominated the card at RCWA. They might as well just call it Rebellion Wrestling. I think there you go. There's your new tagline, boys. Yeah, Kian and Callum were definitely teaming up on Tom. And then it comes to one of the people that perhaps RCWA fans are not accustomed to, Big O. Now, you all know him from DKW. He's DKW champion. Uh, Extraordinary talent, Big O. Probably near just a little bit smaller than Tom in this one. But Tom decided that, hey, look, I'm getting double teamed. Why don't you help me, Big O? And we'll see if we can take care of Kian and Callum. And to which bit, to be fair, they started working relatively well together. Not tag team brilliance, that's for sure, but still not too bad for those two big guys. Danny Black was next out. Obviously, CPF, another team that dominated this show. There was 3 matches involving CPF. Danny was in this one. Fresh off a little bit of tension with his CPF breadwin Joe Lando on socials over in Revolution Pro Wrestling. Joe Lando won his first singles championship, and Danny, took a little bit of an exception to that. I know that Joe's, defending, I think, against Danny. He's one of the guys he's defending against soon, if he hasn't done already. So I think Danny come into this with something to prove that, he can also win that sort of quote unquote big one. I mean, the winner of this battle royal does go on to face Mike Bird for the Elite One Championship. So for me, Danny may have come onto this, certainly that he may have felt that he had a point to prove, if anything else, and he had an electric start on this. Much like a few people, Callum Beck aside, he gradually got into it after taking a big boot from Mercer. Next, though, uh, Lilith Diaz. Now you'll know her from being Jaden Williams' valet at DKW, and she's got in the ring. She was in the ring at Survival, funnily enough, at that show, and she come in and she was taking No prisoners, let me assure you. Lilith is, I say you what, I mean, I think she's about 18, 19 years old, and she's got a future there, Lilith, and she's obviously assigned herself with Jaden Williams in other promotions, and that will only help her. She didn't care how big and strong these guys were. She was getting in on the action, chopping, headbutting, diving on them, doing whatever you needed to do. So big up Lilith for getting in there and showing the RCWA crowd what they could expect. Hopefully, more to come from Lilith in RCWA in 2026. Then, ah dear. Someone who I know very, very well come out next, and I've never seen this side of Mark True, but it was Kung Fu Mark True. Yeah. Come out in a karate, I suppose the Karate Kid style look. He even tried to do the Karate Kid style moves in this, did Mark. Hey, listen, the fans liked him. He was definitely in jovial mood for Christmas was Mr. True, and good to see him as well. To be fair, outside of Ignite, where I usually see him, he's been the bane of my life for the most part of 2025, and he had a good showing. I mean, listen, Mark is one of the best talents on the scene, along with Kieran Lacey, his tag partner. So always good to see Mark True in the ring. Then comes Isaiah Jackson. Now, Isaiah Jackson, Tall Tom, defeated quite quickly at the last show. Um, he's got something. I like this kid. He's quick. He's agile. He's got a lot of good stuff about him. I, I suppose for me is I want to see him. Well, I like to say I don't mean to say in an actual match because last time Tom decimated him in probably about a minute and a half. The Rumble isn't really somewhere where you can showcase. You probably get a lot of times in a Rumble you get that 30 seconds to a minute kind of where you hit your moves and then you kind of either forgotten about or you get thrown over the top rope. And, that's kind of what happened to Isaiah in this. But he's got a lot of skill about him. And I really want to see him. Hopefully, I'll get to see him in a match next year or loads of matches next year, of course. But I need to see him one on one or in a lengthier match to really see his ability. I know he's been getting rave reviews from people on the Brit Rest scene, and again, it's just I haven't had the opportunity to see him get it in the ring as much as I would have liked to. And yeah, he's a talent. Speaking about talented, Jake O'Grady from Cobra, not Cobra, ooh, Catch 22. They won't like me saying that. Was next. Yes, kind of messing about a little bit at the start, Jake. But again, someone else who I've seen briefly. He was a part of the team that lost to CPF at the last show, and yeah, someone else who you get to see at Catch 22 quite a bit. I'm sure he'll be a part of the Catch 22 Cobra match show in January, which you can go to in Lakeside. I didn't get to see enough of him in the Rumble, and I didn't get to see too much of him in that six man. Again, he's another one like Isaiah. I want to see more of him before you can really make a real kind of assumption or a real kind of you can give you your opinion on someone once you've actually seen them. What I would say wrestle in matches that go long, not in rumbles, not in tags, just one or two in there. Next, though, on the list was a good friend of mine, Tyson Keaton, the big boss. Shout out Will Scar, David Bartholomew for his theme. He come in really, really quick as well, and he was flying around. He's got Matrix style moves there. I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed watching him. Again, limited time that I've seen him in the ring. Probably the third time I've seen him. I saw him in a triple threat. I think I saw him in two triple threats this year and the Rumble. And again, like I said before, talented guy. There's lots of talent around, and so much that just people like RCWA, DKW, Ignite, so forth, really give opportunities for this talent to showcase themselves. And more so, hopefully next year I get to see more of these guys. I know they do compete regularly. We can't go to every show as much as we'd like to, but these guys are very, very good. Tyson is exactly the same. on that. And I want to see more of Tyson. Rumors are swirling that Tyson may be making his Ignite debut in February. I cannot confirm or deny. Z rumor. Number 11 on the list was Jaden Williams, and he come out. He was hitting some stiff shots in there, was Jaden. And actually, funnily enough, you can see Independent Showcase Trailblazers edition with Jaden Williams in the special guest interview playlist on this channel. So go down and have a look, find out what Jaden's been up to and what his goals are for 2026. And he was loving it in there. Was Jaden. Again, he is so talented. This is the scary thing about Brit Wrestling right now. So much talent that is going around. It's really difficult, to kind of pinpoint. I'd love to see this guy. I want to see this guy. I want to see that guy. Um, yeah, just not enough. There's not enough. I say there's not enough wrestling companies to go around, but you could make a roster out of these 12 guys and just have your promotion around these. 12, actually, funnily enough, was Harry Mulligan, who I saw briefly. Well, not briefly, I saw at WrestleForce quite recently. Again, seen him in Rev Pro a little bit as well, but he's an unusual character, is Harry, but I like what I see. And he's another guy that's, I think, deceiving in a lot of ways in what he can actually do. You look at him and go, but when that bell goes, whew, he's a tough nut to crack. That's for sure. Anyway, we're going to get to the final four. Tom pretty much nearly eliminated the entire field, barring one or two, by the way. The final four in this was sorry, let's go back down to a bit further than that. But yeah, the final four, sorry, was Danny Black, was Kian Cameron, Tool Tom, and Callum Beck. At this point in there, Kian accidentally eliminates Callum Beck. And Beck's eliminated, and Kian sort of sizing up Tom, and then the next thing you hear what I can only describe as a gunshot. And it wasn't a gunshot. It was Callum Beck smashing a steel chair over the back of his former tag partner, Kian Cameron. Jesus, he clocked him in a half. I mean, like I said, it was like a gun going off inside the Harris Academy, and it blew the place up. Kian obviously outside the ring and now eliminated. And then it gets down to Danny Black and Tom Mercer. There was a nice little nod to Cena in this, and an attitude adjustment seems to be the thing right now on wrestling around the world. A lot of nods to Cena. However, the ending of this, and I will have to say, I think we need some VAR in the world of RCWA. Danny Black and Tom Mercer both go over the top rope and eliminate them. They're both eliminated. The referees give the victory to Danny Black. Now, I'm sitting right behind when these two go over the top rope, and as much as I hate to say it, Danny Black's feet touched the floor first. It did. It absolutely did. I'm sorry if that upsets people at RCWA, but he did. Tom Mercer did actually win that Royal Rumble, but referee's decision is final, and Danny Black, Mitch, like I said earlier on, probably wants to prove to him, maybe not himself, but the wrestling fans out there that he can win singles championships, much like his close personal friends in a lot of senses, and he gets a shot at Mike Bird's Elite One Championship. Will it be on the next show? I don't know. We will have to find out. But yeah, controversy on that one, I will have to say. Sorry again, ICWA, if that annoys you, but when I was sitting, Mercer won that one. Now, we got a bit of a grudge match next on this. Now, like I said, at the last show, and if you watched the preview show, you will know that Jack Torino returned to RCWA, assisting his former Rebellion tag team partner, Taylor James, in winning the RCWA championship. And it was all the rebellion, well, the rebellion that was banned at ringside was Harry McDonald, was Tom Mercer, and Ryan Curran. Sue Ospreay didn't mention Jack Torino because there's been a bit of an issue in Jack and Taylor and the rebellion over the last year or so. Nobody thought to actually ban Jack from ringside. They assumed that he was no longer in the rebellion. So when he did come back and cost Maverick Mayhew, as well as Mike Bird and Kelly Six, the championship here, them two, Maverick Mayhew and Jack Torino, go one on one. My God, holy! I, this match legitimately this match was absolutely crazy. It was incredible. You could have put this match in any promotion in Brit Rest and it would not have looked out of place. These two, I mean, not only did they kick seven bells of crap out of each other, but they are so good. I've always, again, I've seen Jack and I've seen Mayhew a lot over the last couple of years. So we've been fortunate enough at Ignite to have him. Jack had an incredible last man standing match against Taylor, funnily enough, at Ignite. But, wow. I mean, as much as I've seen of them, these two tore the absolute house down in this. This was hard hitting. This had, when I literally say this match had everything, it absolutely did. I will say one thing. The referee did count to three and probably around mid-match on this, accidentally. But he did say it was a two, but it was a three. But he didn't take away from this match. This was just absolutely crazy. There was a Spanish fly in there for a two, and then Jack Torino drills Maverick Mayhew with a power driver to pick up the one, two, three. I felt sorry for, well, I was going to say it was match of the night. Unfortunately, something else comes up later on, which just pips it. And I mean, just when I say, there wasn't much between this and my match of the night, but I felt like saying to the rest of the roster at this point, how can you follow that? I mean, it was tremendous. These two left it all in there. I've mentioned about 12 names that you could build a roster around already, and you could absolutely build it around these two as well. I would say for me, and I've seen him in a lot of I've seen him in comedy matches, I've seen him in serious matches, I've seen him in last man standing matches. For me, that was Jack Torino's best match I've seen him in. But that doesn't mean to say the rest have been bad by any stretch. This was just unbelievable. Kudos to both guys in this, but it was, of course, the Girthy Rhino, Jack Torino, that picked up the victory in this match. So congratulations to Jack Torino, but kudos to Mafik Mayhew. Now, we've got before the interval, we had the RCWA Heavyweight Championship. That was Taylor James of the Rebellion against CPF's Joe Lando, or as the crowd like to call Taylor this weekend, Taylor Swift. Okay. I need to do a thumbnail or something with that. Um, Look, well, like I said, the match before that was brilliant. To follow that was never going to be easy. They did. I mean, they followed it very, very well. This was great. I've seen Taylor and Lando face each other before, and they never failed to disappoint. This match was great. It was a great back and forth again. There was a few times that Joe may have had the match won, didn't quite happen. There was some chop. I mean, Jesus, some of the chops. I saw Joe at the interval, funnily enough, after this match, and he literally had Taylor's handprint on his chest. It was, Jesus, Joe was battered and bruised after this. But I tell you, these two, again, we're talking about leaving it all in the ring. These two gave as good as they could get. However, after a few low blows, I might add, and a few pump thumbs in the eye, low blows, and a few fidget spinners as well, uh, Taylor James retains the RCWA Heavyweight Championship. But I tell you what, these two again, it was such a great match. It was so difficult to follow the match prior though, but they done it. You know, it was a brilliant two fantastic matches that led us in to the interval. Now, coming back from the interval, we had two matches to go. And the first match was for the RCWA Tag Team Championships, where, you guessed it, the Rebellions, Big Steppers, Harry McDonald and Ryan Curran, took on the debuting RCWA First Class Flyers. And like I said previously on the preview show, the First Class Flyers have been lighting up the independent scene with their high flying, exciting action. Well, the big steppers decided they were going to put a stop to that because they weren't going to let them fly because they attacked them before this match even started. What I would say about Harry and Ryan in this was probably the best tag team match I've seen them in. But and also what I mean, not just the match, but these two as a tag team because they went old school in this. They knew that the first class flyers would be spending a lot of their times going high, very fast paced, and they didn't want them to do that. So, what's the best way to stop them? You cut that ring off in half, prevent the quick tags, take it to the ground, prevent them from doing their stuff. And that is exactly what they, for the majority of this match, what the big steppers McDonald and Curran actually did. It was very methodical. It was we know what their strengths are, we know what their weaknesses are. We need to make sure that we're playing to our strengths and hitting their weaknesses. And that was such a great moment in this tag match. And it was great because old school tag matches, you always build to the hot tag. And eventually, the first class flyers did make that hot tag. There was a really big near fall with a jumping cutter on this, but it was just literally the best, like old school tag match with that new school feel. Uh, Brilliant. I loved it. And I loved the fact that the big steppers were doing that, cutting that ring off in half. That they're the best tag matches for me. You can have exciting tag matches when everyone's flying around and all of that sort of stuff. But when you do, and I don't mean this horribly when I say basic tag team wrestling, when you do that and you do it right, it's magic. It writes itself, and this is exactly what they did. And the experience of the big steppers did eventually pay off because I think it's called the back alley lobotomy. Got the job done on the first class flyers, but mightily impressive. But I tell you this: the longer the McDonald and Curran are a tag team, and the longer they're the champions, the harder that they're gonna be to be beaten because because what they're also doing so well, and what they have done as tag teams, is they're learning and they're putting into practice every time that they're learning something like I said, they knew what the first class flyers were good at. So what did they do? They prevented them from doing what they do best. And that's what you start to do with tag teams. You start to learn little intricacies and little bits and pieces. And that is what the Big Step has done. And they've done it very, very well. And they do end 2025, your RCWA World Tag Team Champions. Now, main event time. And Kelly 6, 2025 or nothing. Well, 2025 completed it, mate. Kelly 6 did indeed get his wish, and he's completed his task for 2025. What does that mean for Kelly 6 in RCWA? I don't know. But this was the match that Kelly wanted. He issued an open challenge at the last show, and it got answered by probably the biggest and best name in Brit Rest right now, Michael Oku. And I tell you what, there was no championships on the line. This was just a big fight feel. You could sense it. The moment that Kelly was in that ring and Michael Oku's song played, you could just, it was palpable in Raynham. You could feel it, the anticipation, everything as Amira walks Oku down to the ring. And Amira, can she work a crowd? She could probably work a crowd more than any valet I've ever seen. And the bottom of the line today is she can also go. when it matters as well in that ring. She's kick ass and she can work everybody. You can tell how much this match meant to Kelly Six from the moment Michael Oku walked through that curtain out to the ring. It was, like I said, it was just. I've seen some big Brit. I've seen Michael Oku, Will Ospreay before over in Revolution Pro Wrestling and things like that. I've seen big. I've seen Undertaker, Shawn Michaels live at WrestleMania when I was there. These two, it just, oh man, I can't. If you could bottle the energy in just in that building, as the it hadn't even started, just as Michael was walking the ring, Kelly's staring a hole right through him. You could just feel it in the audience. It was amazing just by that. The crowd were fully behind Kelly in this. And something that maybe Michael's maybe not used to a lot. The crowd not being with him, crowd not being with Amira, but she could just flick it on a switch. Oku dominated the early part of this match, and he kind of had a little chip on his shoulder. I think the crowd going against him a little bit maybe brought out that side to him. But he's that damn good, so who cares, you know? There was some sequences in this match, and you're going to see some videos that I'm going to be posting on this YouTube platform, by the way, so keep a lookout from them. There are some insane sequences in this match. And Kelly, throughout all of this, was scratching and clawing and scratching and clawing and scratching and clawing. Every time he built up a big momentum, Oku would knock him down again. And you just kind of got the impression that Oku, to some of the extent, he was toying with him a little bit. Maybe in the first little stretch of this match. Didn't last. Kelly then come right back at him, throwing everything that he had at him. Michael Oku he's very synonymous with the Frosby flop. For those of you that don't know, he runs around the ring and flips over and hits you on the outside. His shins hit the guardrail during this. Jesus, it was. I mean, I've seen it a lot, but the barricade was right in front of me, and I felt his shins crack against it, and it was just like, oh Jesus, are we going to have to stop the match? It was that bad. It wasn't say that bad as in the move was that bad. It was just that bad of a landing. There was a bit where I think Kelly Six suplex. You've seen it, I think, with Will Ospreay, where I think it was Fletcher had done it to Will in an AEW show. He had Will up for the superplex off the top and then dropped him onto the ring post. There was that on there as well. But throughout the match, Michael was working the leg because, of course, he's the master of the half crab, right? Before that, Kelly hit a big claymore, and Michael got his feet on the ropes. But throughout this match, Michael was working the leg and he was getting the half crab. He had it a couple of times during this particular match. He had the half crab on. Kelly managed to break free. Kelly managed to roll him up. Kelly managed to kick him off. He had the half crab on again. Kelly managed to get to the ropes. He does it again. Kelly gets to the ropes and then he gets it one more time, pulls him into the center. I called it like an inverted half crab. Like when Charlotte Flair, she done the figure four, but sometimes to win her matches, she bridges up and does the figure eight. I've never seen Michael Oku do this style of half crab before, and I couldn't even explain it to you. I think I've got a video of it, which will go on YouTube. But eventually, Kelly does indeed tap out to the half crab, and that is it, so to speak. And Michael Oku picks up the big victory. But we know that, this isn't. Is it the end of Kelly Six and RCWA? I actually don't know that. I couldn't stay around for the aftermath of that match. I actually had to leave. It was late. They started a little bit late, so I had to get out and leave. But guys, honestly. It was, I mean, we're talking British wrestling at its best. And I'll tell you this, RCWA have put on some amazing shows this year. The ones that I've been to have certainly been on the top end of that. And where could they go next year? Are we going to be seeing them? I'm not saying there's a pyramid. There is a kind of pyramid in Brit Rest, of course there is. And the way that they're going and what they're doing, they could be really knocking on the door of something really, really special over in Raynham. So make sure that you get down there in 2026 because I'm telling you, If that show was anything to go by, you are going to be in for a treat next year. We're going to be there as much as we can next year. Brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. The guys and girls there have, you know, blew me away. They actually blew me away this weekend. I messaged Taylor James, funny enough, at the end of it. And I just said, man, that was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen in Brit Res. It was certainly the best show that I've seen of RCWA. And I said that about the one before that, funnily enough. So, yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazily good. Guys, just make sure you get down to see RCWA in 2026. I would seriously, look, I know you will have your favorite promotions. I know there's people that will go to certain promotions all the time. Just make sure that you give these guys at RCWA a chance. It is absolutely brilliant, and you will not be disappointed. They're on the cusp of something here. They are on a cusp of something special going on there. So you get yourself down there in 2026 without a shadow of a doubt. A big thanks for RCWA for putting us up this year as well. We've been thoroughly entertained with great wrestling, some great wrestlers on show there as well. And we're looking forward to being back with you in 2026 RCWA. So big thank you for that. And we'll see you in 2026. Coming up on the show, though, very, very soon. Cool. What have we got coming up on the show? Listen, we're not going to take a break really for the back, and we're going to have interviews dropping. Some new interviews are going to be already in the book for next year. Independent Showcase will be back, and I don't know whether to call it the international or I don't know yet because we've got some names lined up from the scene over here in the UK, from the scene in the US as well, which is going to be really really fun. NWA Talking Territories will be back as well ahead of Exodus Pro's New Game Plus. We will be having one of the guys debuting Exodus Pro, Bougie joining us on the show. Former Intercontinental Champion will be joining us as well. TNA, AEW, you name it, we'll get it on next year. But for RCWA, big thank you again for the year. Guys, go and check them out. RCWA in 2026. We'll be back there. Make sure you are too. But until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.